Hi everyone, I wanted to do a video tonight on Google Sheets and in particular looking at how as a teacher you can share data with your students. Now what I've got here is a practice worksheet that I've been working on. I don't want to give and use any data for actual students of mine, so these are all either family members or names that I made up with some data. And what I wanted to show you was how to use some of this, how to use it for tracking and how to use it for sharing information with either parents or other staff or the students themselves. And one neat little thing I'd like to show you here, very simply, something that Google Sheets have called Sparkline. So if you go in and put click into a cell and put equals, then Sparkline, and then add the brackets, and then just highlight those and put that in, and what it does is it gives you a neat little graph that you can see what's been going on. So you can see here that this particular student had a dip towards the middle, and if you use the little square in the corner there, you drag it down as normal, it will just automatically update, and you can see which of your students are doing well there, which are doing them not so good, and that sort of thing. But the other thing I wanted to show you was about sharing this data. Now, obviously, if I were to show this to a parent or to another student, this isn't fair. Other students in class, their data's on here. That shouldn't be visible to anyone else. So what I like to use instead is this little setup here. I have a drop-down list of all of my students. Okay, I click on one, and it updates their scores on here. Any student I can update their scores on here, you see, so you can see that Vivian Moore, that's my sister, by the way, in case you're wondering, she did really well at the start, has dropped off towards the end. So what I'll do is I'll show you how to do that by creating a new sheet. The first thing you need to do is to create your drop-down list. Now, before I do this, I'm just going to change the font, just make it slightly bigger so that you can see. I like to use Comforter, I like to use size 14, it's nice and visible. So the thing you're using for this is something called data validation. And it's very simple. You go into data, click on here, data validation, and you can pick either a list from a range, list of items, number, there's various different things. Usually you're going to want to use list from a range, and it's very, very simple. Click on here, this little grid, and that then will allow you to go back to sheet 1 and click the list that you want. So I start there all the way down to there, click on OK, save that, and if I go back into this sheet, you can see I can put the names in. I'll make it slightly wider so you can see the names there. The drop-down list exists, but there is no data in these cells. Now, to do this, you're going to want to use a function called the vertical lookup. What the vertical lookup does is it takes a range of cells, it looks up in the first column, finds the term you're looking for, and then can return some data in another column corresponds to that first one. So, for example, with David Smith here, it would tell me what he got in his Unit 1 assessment and so on. Now, I've had a couple of problems with picking the ranges on this, so I'm going to do it slightly more old-fashioned way. And what you need to do is you just go in and you click VLOOKUP. You click on that, opens up the brackets. Now, the first thing you need to do is to select the square, the cell it's going to be looking up. So always go for where your drop-down list is. Okay, then you press a comma and you need to put in a range. Now, the range is very simple. Okay, you look at the sheet name, sheet 1, and you put an exclamation mark in there. And I know that that sheet goes from C2 to H16. That's my range. Now, I want them, after I've done the range, I put in the next thing I want to do here is I put in the column I want to correspond. Now, the first column is going to have the name. So I want column 2. Then after that, you need to put in whether it's been sorted or not. So if it hasn't been sorted in any way, you put false, and then you close the brackets, and then you press return, and hey presto, there comes David Smith's first score. So just double check on here. We go back to sheet 1. Let's find David Smith. His Unit 1 score was 41. So you can drag this across, but you do need to make sure you double check the formula that goes in. I'll show you, for example. So if I drag this across, this tells me that he got 54. If I go back again, we look at David Smith. There you are. He got 54 for his second one. You can see that. But if we look at this, this has changed the range. It's no longer going from C2 to H16. It's going D2 to I16, and it's still looking up column 2. Okay, now there have been some issues with this. So what I tend to do is I tend to stay with the range that I had originally, and then just change the column number to column 3. Which, well, there you go. The other error I've missed up there, it's changed also that letter. So if I go in there, it's corresponding to B1. If I put it into A1, there we go. We get that up. So if I copy in this formula, if I copy this formula here, copy that, and then I'll go into this one, and I'll paste that formula in. Make sure I just change that to column 4. Go into the next one, change that to column 5. Go into this one, and then paste it in and change that to column 6. And I should now get Sparkline in there. I'll just change the font on this. I don't know why it defaults to that. There you go. And you can see now that you have all of this information. So David Smith got 41, 54, 37, and 33 according to these formulas. 41, 54, 37, and 33, as you can see. And what this now enables you to do is you can share this with parents. There you go. Stephen Jones's parents come in. You can see that he did really well, really well. Okay. And he had a drop off on Unit 4. You can show them this. You can make it bigger if you want, so that you get a better impression of the Sparkline. You can see where they're going. But any one of your students, you can now do this and show them this information safe in the knowledge that you won't be showing anyone else's data to anyone else's parents. I think this is very useful. I think it's something that I'm going to be using a lot in my upcoming teaching. But if you have any questions or any thoughts on how you might want to use this, or any tips for putting the formulas in easier, please do comment on the video and let me know any thoughts. Thank you very much for listening.